Hey friends, welcome to Your Story Matters podcast. My name is Michaela, and I am so happy you're here. My hope for this show is that we experience the power of storytelling and understand that we are the main characters in our story so that we can live as our truly authentic selves. You're in the right place to hear real stories that will challenge, inspire, and encourage you on your personal growth journey. I hope you enjoy. Today on the show is Sarah Dawkins. Sarah is a passionate, holistic health and healing coach, international speaker, and author of the book Heal Yourself. She's also a multi-award-winning entrepreneur and the award-winning host of the uplifting podcast Heal Yourself with Sarah Dawkins. With over 20 years' experience as a registered nurse, Sarah combines her deep understanding of conventional medicine with her own powerful self-healing journey to create a truly integrative approach. Having overcome multiple chronic health challenges herself, she now supports others in recovering and addressing the root causes of their symptoms, helping them restore balance, reclaim their energy, and create lasting, vibrant wellness. Here's our conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Your Story Matters podcast. I am so happy that you've taken time out of your day to spend it with me. And I am so happy to be talking with Sarah Dawkins today about healing yourself. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. Sarah, welcome so much to the show.
Thank you, Michaela. It's great to be here with you and your audience.
Yes. All right, let's just get into it because that's what we do here. We go deep real quick. Sarah, what is your story?
Oof, where do I start? So I was raised by a nurse. So my whole view of health and healing was within that medical model. You know, when you're sick, you go to a doctor, you get a diagnosis, you get a prescription, you get some pills, and then you are healed, in air quotes, as I now see it. But I thought actually that's what healing was for 41 years of my life. Never saw anything outside of that. And I went on and trained to be a nurse as well to help people in their vulnerable times. But one day while we'd moved to America, and one day one of my nurse colleagues challenged my beliefs about using pharmaceuticals at home. So of course I was quite shocked, but went home and started researching on the internet what would make somebody question a use of pharmaceuticals, because I used prescription drugs when I needed them. I used over-the-counter drugs when I needed them and I could access them. So I started researching and I read a whole lot of information about how powerful our minds and bodies are. They work together. And of course, being in that medical model, my first port of call for healing was in the physical plane or pillar, however you want to frame it. So I did a tweak of my nutrition. I stopped eating gluten and dairy. I made sure I was hydrated, started drinking a little bit more water, but not a lot. Made sure I was getting a good full night's sleep and started doing a bit more walking, which obviously helped to de-stress. And in that first month, I healed eczema, psoriasis, and acid reflux. So that was my first real tangible, wow, look, what I'm doing is having a profound effect on my body. And I've never seen this before. So that started the ball rolling for me to do more and more, learn more and more. And then I got quite conflicted because, at home I'm doing the more natural, holistic, healthy lifestyle, stopped using pharmaceuticals and looking at what else I could do to support myself. But then at work, I'm following doctor's orders, giving pharmaceuticals. And I got quite conflicted leading this double lifestyle, if you like, which spiraled me into quite a deep, dark, depressive episode with suicidal thoughts. Doctor wanted to medicate me. I was off work because I was so poorly. But to be off work, I needed a sick note, and the doctor had to do that every month. And I think as well, he wanted to make sure that I was still alive every month. So I had to go in and see him. And every month he's like, I really think you should take some sleeping tablets. I really think you should take these antidepressives. I'm like, I've done that before. And it just literally left me devoid of all emotions, not just the negative ones. So I knew I could heal because I'd gone on and healed candida, PTSD, bulimia nervosa. So my healing had progressed. I'm like, I know I can heal this, but I have no idea how I'm going to heal it. And over the months, or even maybe over a year, I realized that one day out walking the dog, that the trees were in bloom and I could see flowers on the floor and listen to the stream. And it was almost like I just popped out of myself, out of this abyss that I'd been in for so long. And intuitively, I was practicing gratitude and mindfulness. I had no idea what I was doing. And it was several months down the line before I actually realized what I was doing. And that was the start of my true healing journey. Went on and healed. My thyroid had stopped working during that depressive episode. So I went on and healed that. I healed my underactive adrenal glands and I healed the depression and suicidal thoughts.
Wow. Tell us your secrets. How do you do it? No, we'll kind of start with, we'll go back to that whole conflicting concept of modern medicine, which is fine, great, and wonderful and does a lot of good work. I'm always reminded how modern medicine has only been around in modern times. And everyone since before we got here has used some kind of plant or liquid. You have
Ancient
to.
wisdom.
Correct. To essentially keep humanity alive. And it's not to say that our diseases in modern time are worse than what they had back then. I think it's an even playing field. It's so interesting. What is our hesitancy to go back to holistic healing when really that's how humans kind of got here?
I think, without being too political, if we go back and look at the advent of modern medicine from the Rockefellers, and they paid the media to downplay, to poo-poo, to discredit all what we now call alternative healers. Those were the holistic healing modalities, the ancient wisdom that was passed down through the generations. And with the advent of the Rockefellers came the petropharmaceuticals, which is what we've still got today. And don't get me wrong, it has a place for emergencies, trauma. My dad wouldn't be alive now. He had sepsis, pneumonia, and pleurisy all together 8-9 years ago. And he needed that modern medicine. He needed the IV fluids, the antibiotic, the hospital, the doctors. And because of that, he healed. He got well. Without that, he would have absolutely have died. So there is a place for it. But actually, our body, before we get to that point, our body is always giving us symptoms as messages that there's something not quite right that we need to address. And because we've got used to taking a pain pill for that bit of a headache, or taking a antacid for that upset stomach, or putting a bit of cream on for that skin rash, we've kind of dissociated our mind from our body and stopped listening to the little signals our body sends. So our body's having to shout at us now with the chronic, severe pain and the eczema and the psoriasis rashes that now need steroid creams, and the huge digestive problems that we're having because we've not listened.
So true. For someone just kind of starting out, right? I think holistic and alternative healing and naturopathy and all of that is getting a better rap because, as you said, history has kind of given us a false narrative on ancient techniques that have worked for centuries, right? So someone just starting out, again, in the States, and I'm sure, in Europe as well, if you feel poor, go see a doctor, right? That's kind of always what people say. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if someone is just starting out, say it's a headache, say it is an upset stomach, eczema, something like that, where do you start? Because I know for me, I see these people who are living a holistic life and they kind of seem like 20 years down the road, even though they just know 10% more than I do, right? So it seems a bigger world and a little bit more of a confusing one. But basically, where do we start if we want to kind of incorporate holistic healing more into our lives?
For me, it's the understanding that everything is connected to everything else. Because in modern medicine, everything's been separated out. We've got a neurologist for minds. We've got a cardiologist for hearts. We've got a dermatologist for skin. We've got a pulmonologist for lungs, a nephrologist for kidneys. And they've taken our body apart into single elements to the detriment of the rest of our body, because everything works together synergistically. And that's why healing has to be holistic. We have to address the mind, body, soul. We have to address all the organs interrelated with the gut, the nerves, the lungs, the heart, the mind. We can't just pull out the kidney and go, I wonder what's wrong with this kidney, without taking account of whatever else is going on. So for somebody just looking at it, starting out, it can be overwhelming if you look at all of it all at once. But actually just think about, what is the symptom I'm having trying to tell me? Because with every symptom comes innate body wisdom. It's just that we've dissociated our mind from our body. So our mind is not consciously aware of what our subconscious mind is expressing in our body.
Mm.
So what that means is, outside of a trauma, there's something from our mind expressing in our body as a symptom. And it's our job to speak to that symptom, if you like, and say, what is the wisdom you're holding? What are you trying to tell me? What is really going on? And also think about what's happened in the day or a few days before that symptom arose. What was going on in your life? Because stress is huge. But when we look at stress, really, it's our perception of an outside event, because our stress has come from us trying to control something out there that we have no control over. We can only control ourselves, what we put into and onto our body, our words and our behaviors. But we try and control other people, other things, and we try and make it fit into our life, or make it just so. And actually, we've got no control and no responsibility for anything out there. So if we bring it back down to, what can I control about myself, my words, my behavior, my diet, my lifestyle, that's where I can start. And I love the saying that a little bit of something is better than a lot of nothing.
That's so true. So true. I think the more and more guests I have on that talk about mind to body work and just being in touch with yourself, I'm just astounded by how out of touch we are with ourselves.
Yes. But I think a lot of that comes down to the conditioning, because we are conditioned to take ourselves to the doctor, because the doctor is that person of authority, and give our health to the doctor and the responsibility for it, and say, okay, doc, I've got this symptom and that symptom, give me a diagnosis and a pill. And then it's easy just to take that pill and change nothing. Whereas it takes responsibility to want to change our diet and our lifestyle.
Right, absolutely. And it almost just seems like changing diet and lifestyle is for the elite, or for all of the people that have time to go to the gym, or who have the luxury of not working in the eyes of especially the States, when, working, especially multiple hours a week, is kind of seen as you're high up there on the pedestal. So how easy is it to incorporate simple changes that makes a difference over time? Because yes, it's overwhelming when you start, but again, having an extra glass of water, taking a 10-minute walk, you know what I mean? So kind of expand on that a little bit. What are just some easy things that we're almost already doing, or we have something in our cupboard in the kitchen that can help us out?
I'm a big believer in mindfulness, because it brings us into this now moment. And we don't have to sit and meditate to be mindful. We can be walking somewhere, whether we're walking to work or taking a walk outside for leisure, and just be in that environment. What can you see? What can you hear? Can you smell anything? Can you touch anything? Rather than walk in and being, I must remember to get some cheese from the supermarket, and I must remember to ring my dad later, and I must remember to not forget to take the children to the party. And we tend to not be mindful. Our minds tend to be in the future about the things that we've got to do. Just bring it back now into that moment and be in that moment. Even eating a meal, close your phone down, put it away from the table, be with your food. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? Touch it with your fingers. I eat a lot of my food with my fingers, because research has shown it helps us, our digestive system, to prepare for it. There's a different frequency vibration when we touch the food with our fingers. And there's so much more that we can do for ourselves by bringing ourselves back into that moment. And in doing so, we calm our nervous system down too, by being present in that moment. A lot of health problems are caused by us being dysregulated, our nervous system being in go, 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 fight, flight, freeze and fawn mode, rather than just being present and calm.
So you heard it here first, everyone. Sarah says it is okay to play with your food. I just want that to be understood by everybody. That's so good though, because there's nothing wrong with utensils and we're very fond of them here. But I like that. There is something about having that connection instead of it just being utensil to mouth. There is something very fun, depending on what the food is, to really engage in those senses. I think that's really, really fun. What other ways can we change the narrative to where food can be fun, right? Food can be healing, we know that, but let's just take it to the fun aspect. How can food start to be fun for us?
I'm a big lover of making things from scratch. It can cost a lot less if we cook it ourselves. And plus we know what goes into it. One thing that's really shocked me lately, I'm a Brit in Spain. And what I've found is the minced beef, I'll put in air quotes, says 100% beef on the front of the packet because technically beef is the only meat in it. So it is 100% beef. It's not mixed with pork or chicken or turkey. But when you look at the ingredients, it's got soy and vegetable protein and pea fiber. And it's shocking. And I can no longer find 100% ground beef, as you call it in America, or minced beef, as we call it. So now I ask the butcher to grind me a slab of meat into minced beef so that I can see exactly. And the grinder is on the countertop, so I can see that, exactly what he's putting in. So understand what's in your food, what it's made from, because a lot of food that is sold in the supermarkets is not real food and it's got really toxic ingredients in. So I'm a big lover of make it yourself and get creative. We've started making our own bacon from belly pork.
Oh, wow.
Cooking it in a water bath with a bit of maple syrup, a bit of paprika, a bit of smoked paprika and a reasonable amount of salt. And it tastes amazing. And there's no rubbish in it like there is in a lot of bacon. And just get creative, and you can be mindful whilst you're making and cooking. You can involve your family. You can get your children involved from an early age to understand what real food is. And in eating real food, we're supporting our body and our mind and our soul. Whereas when we just grab something that's pre-made off the shelf and put it in a microwave, there's very little nutrition in it. So we're not supporting our health at all.
Yeah, that's so good. What are some foods that correspond with healing? What are some foods that we're probably already eating that we don't know is good for something? What have you found in all of your research and experience as far as how food is healing?
So I'm going to stand on some toes here now because I thought plants were healing and was a vegetarian for 4 years. And it made me incredibly sick. I got skinny fat. I lost most of my muscle. I became breathless, absolutely certain I was anemic because I was so breathless and so sallow. Neighbor thought I had cancer because of the weight loss and how poorly I looked. And I turned that around and ate more animal protein and fat and had a huge surge in my health and built all the muscle. Now we're told red meat is bad for us, and that's drilled into us all the time. The study that proved that, in air quotes, in the 80s was actually funded by the sugar company. And in 2015, the FDA came out and said there is no research to prove that saturated fat is bad for us. But the rest of the world hasn't, or a lot of people, should I say, haven't heard that. And I hadn't heard it until I went and looked for it last year. So real red meat, not the red meat in the study that was McDonald's burgers and hot dogs and convenience food, but real red meat and liver. I mean, a lot of us have got memories back to childhood. Oh, liver, and it was horrible, but actually it's really nice cooked with bacon and some onions, incredibly flavoursome. Beef liver is the most nutrient dense food on the planet. It can supply us with virtually everything that we need. And the thing about animal foods and animal fats is it's all bioavailable. Our body can take the nutrition from that food easily. Whereas with plants, and I didn't realize this when I was a vegetarian, because they're so wrapped up in cellulose and fiber, and we're not ruminants, we don't have 3 stomachs, we can only break down a small portion of that cellulose to actually get some of the nutrition. And the nutrition in the plants, I mean, you look at spinach and it's full of iron and lots of nutrients. We can only access about 5% of the nutrition in plant foods because of the cellulose it's all wrapped up in that we cannot break down. And we're never told that. And I was shocked when I changed the way I was eating, saw the massive improvement in my health, and then went on and saw that actually all this food that I thought was incredibly healthy, 95% of that nutrition was going straight down the toilet with all the fiber.
Wow.
And we're not taught that. That was new to me last year.
And that's new to me today. That's incredible. Because again, you hear all of these things, and I am off gluten and dairy as well, off soy and eggs. The allergies are not terrible, so I do admit that I cheat. I shouldn't, but I'm only human, and I can only do what I can do.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes a piece of real bread just kind of, there's nothing else quite like it.
Yes, with a big slab of butter on it.
Toast and jam is it's just the way God intended. It's just it's just a beautiful experience. What are some other foods that are surprising in their nutrition value? And then I'll ask the opposite question of what are some things that we think we should have, but really we should be getting away with?
Dairy. I didn't eat dairy for 20 years, believing it was bad for me and I was allergic to it. And it was the root cause of the psoriasis and eczema and acid reflux. And so I didn't eat it. Well, maybe once a year in the form of a chocolate brownie.
Oh yeah, have to.
Because, just having this human experience. So for about 20 years, I didn't eat dairy and gluten, apart from just periodic bits when I was having a real, I need that for my mental health, obviously. But the nutrition in dairy is there. It's readily available for us. And it's relatively ancient food. It's been around for such a long time.
Yeah.
And I think actually what's done to the milk in the processing of it is potentially what's causing us the allergies, because raw milk, we've had raw milk forever. And butter contains butyrate, which is what we need. It's a saturated fat, and we need that for health. And when we're breaking down the plants, we can get a tiny bit of butyrate from the cellulose that's broken down. Well, who wouldn't want to eat butter over a plant? So, it's nutritionally dense. So, I would advocate for those that can, and I'm back on eating dairy and don't have the problem that I used to think that I had with the dairy. So, and I'm enjoying it now. So I would advocate butter and coconut oil and olive oil are the only two oils I would advocate. And animal fat, I mean, I make my own tallow, which is like lard is from a pig, tallow is from a cow. So I render down animal fat and make my own tallow, which I then do whipped tallow and make my own face cream, body cream out of the tallow. And it's easy to do. It's a little bit messy, but it's easy, but it's so nutritionally beneficial to us but we're not taught that because fat was demonized in the 80s. A lot of us still stay away from fat because it was so demonized.
Yeah, definitely. And then you kind of look at all these diets that have come out over the past, I don't know, 25, 30 years, 40 maybe. And, keto says you can eat all the butter and bacon you want, no carbs. And then, the vegetarians and vegans say one thing, but I'm like, how do you get your protein? You know what I mean? Like, yes, plants are good, but as we're learning today, we can't break down a lot of things in them, which is completely brand new to me, which is fascinating. And also so true, because it's like when I eat a salad, which I love greens and fruit, it's like, man, I'm hungry an hour later. There's just something that doesn't quite fill me in the way that I'm expecting.
Because, and can I just speak to that?
Please.
Because if you think about it, all plants are carbohydrates. So when we eat them, we spike our blood sugar and then we drop our blood sugar, which makes us hungry, sometimes hangry. So then we want to eat more. So we eat more carbs, we spike our blood sugar. So our blood sugar is always up and down when we're eating the plant food. When we're eating protein and fat and we stop running on glucose and start running on fat, we stop spiking our blood sugar. So it's even. So we don't have those peaks and troughs unless we're incredibly stressed and we're releasing cortisol, which causes low blood sugar, which causes hunger.
Right. And I think too, especially in our education system, you'll fill me in on how it is in the UK. I almost wish there was dietary and nutritional courses that we could take in school, even as kids from a young age, because you always hear the phrase an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But that's really all you hear, right? You have the food pyramid. I don't know if you guys experience that, but you should have, fruits and vegetables, protein, a little bit of fat, cut off the sugar. Sugar is just making money left and right. It's been doing that for a very long time. And we're just, again, so conditioned to putting something sweet in our bodies where, again, we're talking about spiked blood sugar. We're talking about accelerated heart rate. So we're thinking it's the heart, but it's probably what we're putting in our system. So I really enjoy this concept of it is all connected because it is, right? Um, and it's kind of like, yeah, I'll be thinking about that in terms of like, what is my body telling me? Because we have let so much of stress inundate us, and so then we eat a chocolate brownie to fuel ourselves emotionally, right? We're having a bad day, we turn to sugar, we do this, we do that. So what's the balance of fruit and vegetables in a protein forward lifestyle? Right, because fruit has sugar, berries have the less sugar that it's good. So it's kind of like we're always taught these are the golden arches you need to like run through and pick from the earth. But what's the balance that we should keep in mind when we're cooking food, buying food, all that?
I would say reduce your carbohydrates, your plant food, and increase your protein and fats. And do what works for you, because not everybody's going to cut them out. I still eat. So today I've had we call them kakis here in Spain. I think they're called persimmons. So they're orange. They're in season at the moment. And I bought a couple of pairs. But I would recommend looking up Sally K. Norton and her book Toxic Superfoods, because we're all aware that there's anti-nutrients in plants. The World Health Organization has a whole web page on toxins in that. I think it's called Toxins in Natural Food, and literally everything is a plant. It's only got toxin. It's all plant foods, and each plant has got its own anti-nutrients. The oxalates have been known, they're not new, they've been known since the 1850s, and primarily they were associated with kidney stones and urinary problems. But now Sally Norton, through her PhD and research, has found that actually oxalates cause damage to all the systems of our body, our organs, our joints, everything that you associate with old age, vision problems, pain, everything literally has ties to oxalates. And there's a lot of plants that are high in oxalates. And when we're eating these plants high in oxalates, we're storing think of them as crystals, like what we think of as gout, uric acid crystals. Oxalates are very similar. And from what I've read, about 50% of cases of gout it's oxalate crystals. So it's just be aware of what you're eating and the anti-nutrients in it and how those anti-nutrients affect you.
Yeah, that's so good. And it is just one meal a day, right? We're not talking about, changing your life in the next 20 years. The small changes that you make with one meal kind of, and I always seem to forget that. I'm like, I want 20-year-old me to like just be the best. And it's like, well, she doesn't exist yet. Do you know what I mean? But I exist getting ready to eat lunch or getting ready to eat supper or, having breakfast the next day. And really, again, it all goes back to being mindful of, yeah, we might have a cheat food here or there, whatever that is to us, but really having protein. I know when I don't have a lot of it, I can really tell I get tired. I do not have energy. And it really is just like, wow, food can really affect your mood.
Massively.
I've lived on this earth for over 30 years, but it's just kind of like you're just relearning things as an adult, and it's just kind of fascinating to know that we do have the power to heal. And I want to talk about your book that's behind you in just a second, but you talk about a lot of things you can't control. I love what you said earlier about we can control what we put in and on our bodies. And we sometimes don't think too much of food as we do other things. And so it really is just finding not even that balance, but again, that awareness, which it all just comes back to that.
Absolutely. Self-awareness. Yeah. And when we can become aware and slow ourselves down to be aware of what we're putting into our body, onto our body, and in our environment, it all impacts our health.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much so. All right. Heal Yourself, your book. How did you wake up one day and, I have a book to write? Has it always been in you? What was the process of kind of bringing this all to life?
So I've got a friend, we'll call her with gifts. And she told me when I was in a deep, dark place that I would write a book. I'm like, I'm just trying to get through every day. Why would I write a book? Never written a book. But anyway, one day I woke up and I'm like, I've healed all these things. This was coming out of the depression. I'm like, I look back and what I've healed that I never even knew was possible. I thought, there's got to be other people like me in the world that have only see the world through the eyes of the medical model, tablets and doctors and hospitals. And if I can open this up and help them to see actually there's alternatives and share what I've done in my own healing, I thought I might be able to reach those people. And I wrote 10,000 words straight out. And then this little voice on my shoulder went, who do you think you are? You're not a writer. I'm like, oh, yeah, who am I? That was from the past. Put my book away on my computer for 5 years
Wow.
because who do I think I am, right?
Yeah.
And one day I just woke up. I'm like, wow, no, I've really got to get this book out. I've got to invite other people who've healed from things that I haven't and all sorts of other health problems. So I reached out on social media and I got people healing ALS or motor neurone, as we call it in the UK, multiple sclerosis, a whole range of different autoimmune conditions, Lyme, cancer, stroke, asthma, allergies, sensitivities, endometriosis, so many health problems. And they all wrote what they did on their own healing journey. And there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences. So I've got 4 people who healed MS and they all did something differently, yet they've all healed.
Wow.
So I pulled all of this together and my book was born, Heal Yourself. I put it into a competition with Hay House to win a publishing deal. Didn't get anywhere. And me being me went, well, clearly the universe is saying I can't wait 18 months for Hay House to get it out on the market. I need to do this now. So I self-published. It's on Amazon. It's also in Barnes and Noble in the US. And it can be ordered from some of the bigger bookstores as well.
That's wonderful. How have you seen, what's been the reaction to people who have read and kind of reached out to you?
Lots of people are in support of it. Oh, that's amazing. I'm looking at healing this, or I've healed that, and this was my healing journey, and I can relate to that. Occasionally, but not very often, I get somebody emailing me, you can't heal this or that or the other. And I feel for them because they're where I used to be in that medical model, believing the doctors that they need a pill, they need a surgery, they need a treatment. And I feel that there. And couldn't see anything outside of that. So I can't. And quite often they send me a message through Facebook or something on a fake profile. So I can't even reply to them to say, look, I understand, I get it. I have to put that in context. That's their journey. They're on their own path. This is my path. They clearly don't want my help. They just need to voice their concerns, which they've done. And that's helped them to feel better.
It's true. I really like that, putting it into the context of where are they coming from? Because it's really not as personal as people think it is from the other side. Like, if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Absolutely.
And we can't know what we don't know. Oh my gosh, this has been so fascinating. I just want to, as soon as we get done with this, I was like, I need to look at my pantry. Like, what do I have? What is happening in here, and then kind of rework it. This is beautiful. We're going to have a link in the show notes for your book, and just want people to get inspired of, again, there's so much of the world we can't control, but knowing that we can see a difference in body and mind and awareness is great. So is there anything else in terms of mind body awareness that we want to mention here that we haven't in correlation with food?
Just for a lot of us, we've not only dissociated with what's going on and how we're feeling, but how we're reacting to food as well. Because we can ask our body, we can hold a piece of food and ask our body, do I really want this? And if we let go of yes, because it looks so good, or we really like it, and just, come back into your body. Are you even hungry? Are you mistaking hunger for thirst? Because thirst will express itself primarily as hunger.
Oh, wow.
So do I just need a drink of water? And fizzy water without any other additives, just literally water and carbon dioxide, can also help to satiate us with the bubbles in it. So it's a great appetite suppressant to tide us over for a time. But just feel into, am I really hungry? What is it about this food that I want? Am I eating for my emotions? Am I eating for nutrition? Because if it's for nutrition, we'd be looking at steak, bacon, eggs, meat. If it's not nutritionally dense, what is it that's calling me to it? Am I addicted to the sugar? And that was a hard truth to swallow, but I see it now. I absolutely was. It's like, no, I just like it. No, actually, I'm really addicted to the sugar. I need that hit. And just be honest with yourselves. It's not about shaming. We're not here to shame ourselves. The world has put lots of shame and guilt onto us. We don't need that. But just be with that. What is it that's calling me to this food, to this whatever it is, this chocolate brownie? And if it's an emotion, what emotion am I trying to suppress? Because when we're eating with that sugar addiction, we're actually feeding something to suppress it rather than to express it. What am I trying not to feel?
But that's good.
That can be really challenging. But the more that we can feel it, the more that we can heal it. We don't have to go back into our past and put ourselves back into situations that we found really challenging, but we can understand the emotional aspect that's been left over in our body from that. And there's something triggered, something that reminds us of that emotion. And that's why we're reaching for that. Or is it habitual? I was brought up on 3 meals a day with something sweet after everything. Sweets in the morning at 10 o'clock, sweets in the afternoon at 2 o'clock. Supper in the evening was a biscuit and milk before going to bed. Is it habitual? Am I just used to eating all of this sugar? It's normalized within the family.
Yeah.
And how can I change that so that I make it my choice to support my body rather than to continue this habitual behavior that I've grown up with? So I like to think of it as a choice, because people say, oh, well, I'm not having that because it's bad for me. But let's reframe it. I'm choosing not to eat that because of the detrimental effects it has on my health. I'm choosing to eat this instead because it's nutritionally satisfying. It will support my body, my mind, my soul. Make it about choices rather than about denying or deprivation. It's totally your choice.
That's so good. And again, I've been saying for years, moderation and moderation, right? Like everything has to have some sort of balance. It's what's kept us in planet Earth, I think, for as long as we've been out here. So this is a left turn. I'm going to make a left turn before I make a big left turn. In my heart of hearts, I just want all of my 3 square meals a day to be a British high tea. That's all I want. I am obsessed. I used to work in a tea room, Sarah, and it's just the cute. And I also love the Great British Bake Off. I think that's like part of my personality, right? Of like, you just see this goodness and you just want it. So if I could have it my way, I would just want all of my meals to be an afternoon tea, because there's just something.
And that's just carbs with carbs with carbs, right?
Oh, but it's so good. So good.
I hear you. I hear you. Yes.
We got to figure out a way to restructure the tiers to kind of have maybe a little bit more protein, less carbs. I'll think about it. If I come up with it, I'll let you know. But for right now, man, it's just wonderful.
And just to speak to that as well, we're conditioned to believe that we need 3 meals a day. Conditioned. At the moment, my husband and I have been eating for the past several months, on average, 1 meal a day. And if we're hungry, we'll have a snack later on.
Yeah.
So it's rare to be hungry to need, a substantial amount of food, but we might feel empty or a little bit hungry, in which case we will eat. But some days we could just eat 1 meal a day, and it's protein and fat dense, and it sustains us for 24 hours.
Wow. Do you have that in the morning, early afternoon, kind of when it's that meal time for you?
It varies. It's predominantly between about 11 and 2 at the latest, I would say, depending on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
If we're hungry,
Correct.
we'll cook up and eat. But if we're not hungry, we'll just continue doing what we're doing until we feel hungry, and then we'll cook up and eat.
Yeah. Because also there's stored fat in your body that your body will use if you're not constantly putting 3 meals and a
Yes.
snack down as well. And I think not that we should rely on that, but you do have something that will kind of sustain you if you have like a snack, not necessarily before bed, but an evening time without. Yeah, because 3 square meals a day, I'm full just thinking about it. I don't subscribe to that anymore. I'm about to and try to get as much nutrients as I can, and there's always room for improvement for sure. So I want to ask a question before the end here. How does a Brit end up in Spain? Sounds so magical. Tell me everything.
Before we went to Spain, we moved from England to America forever.
Oh, wow, okay.
It wasn't what we thought it would be, so we moved back in within 2 years. And then we moved to Wales,
Oh, wow.
and it rained a lot. Beautiful country, but it rained a lot.
Yes.
And I came home from work one day and my husband said, "Shall we move to Spain?" Because his dad lives out here. And we'd been every year. The weather was fabulous. And we looked at downsizing to be totally debt-free and become semi-retired. So that's what we did. Made the choice. We moved to Spain. We bought a small house with surrounded by lots of weeds, because it doesn't rain very often in Spain. So when there's a bit of moisture, the weeds just grow. And here we live, and it's more about, it's the quality lifestyle, because in America everything was hustle, 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 go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. And I was working 2 jobs just to pay, regular bills, nothing expensive. Whereas here, we both work part-time. We live a bit. We have a very simple lifestyle. We're up in the mountains. The air is clean. The weather is fabulous. The end of November, and it's about 20 degrees Celsius outside.
Wow.
The sun's shining, the sky's blue. I can't see a single cloud. It's fabulous. And if we want to go to the beach, it's 45 minutes away.
Wow. Oh, what a dream. All right. Well, I'm going to collect all of my podcast friends and we're going to just have a vacation in Spain. So I will prep you when we're all coming, because that just sounds so wonderful. And I think too, having, and this is not everyone can do this, but kind of where you live also determines what your lifestyle and what you're eating, right? Because if you are in a busy city, if you are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you're just shoving in whatever you can, right?
Yes.
And if
totally.
you can't afford to either downsize or just kind of do a lateral move, but do something where it does challenge you. So if you live far away from a supermarket, it'll challenge you to kind of start making some stuff on your own, or just be more conscious. So I think that's a beautiful thing, and kind of really can help as well, because environment is also everything. Because if we're just in it, we succumb, right? You don't always have to, but sometimes that's just how it happens.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, Spain. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Sarah, as we're wrapping up here, what is your next chapter? How do you see your story unfolding? Are there more books? Yeah, what's up? What's next?
So, yes, there is another book. I started it a year ago, and it needs a lot of research. I'm looking at everyday people's perceptions of empathy, because we can look at what empathy is. We've all got our own perceptions of what empathy is. And I'm looking at different people see different things, which is fabulous. And so I'm writing about that, but it's taken a back seat at the moment. And I've been doing a lot more speaking gigs to continue to get the message out that people can heal themselves, even when doctors say they can't. Sharing myself, my book, and I've got a podcast too, sharing people who have healed things. That the lady who came out last Thursday, my last episode released, healed a seizure disorder.
Wow.
The doctor said she would be on seizure medicine for her whole life. Healed it, never had a seizure since. So it's just about making people aware that even when doctors say we can't, we can. We absolutely can. But we have to believe that we can. So I see that, stepping out onto more platforms, more stages, more summits, to share that message, to help inspire people to take back the responsibility for their health and start their own healing journey.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Sarah, thank you for your time today. I have a page of notes of protein, and more protein, which I will go and do that now by making lunch right after this. So thank you so much. It was a joy to have you on.
Thank you, Michaela. And thank you so much, too.
Thanks for listening. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen, give it a rating and review while you're at it. It really goes a long way. And check out the show notes for all the ways to stay connected with me and our guests. Until the next episode.